Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Walking Dead World Beyond. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we open with the whole Lila situation. Obviously, the gravity of, what she does, and obviously, it's hitting her a certain way, because obviously she was, working on the test subject, and it immediately had her dinner with the Bennetts and everything turned sideways like it did. But now back to present day, back to this test subject, and he's like, I'm going to hell and so are you. Maybe we're already here. But it's like what she's doing, experimenting on people, that some people are nothing more than test subjects. It's like, how can you live with yourself knowing not only what you've done, what your research has been a part of, but for her, she justifies it because no matter what, everything she does is for tomorrow, because it is about saving those when she couldn't be there to save her husband or daughter. She can save those. She can save someone for tomorrow. And even if it isn't tomorrow, some tomorrow in the future, because my research could be the foundation to someone else in the future. That's what the CR is banking on. We're doing stuff for the future, this research and everything. If we can't find a solution, someone in the future might. It comes down to, as she says later on, data, building it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Until until you amass so much data that someone eventually finds an answer to all of this. But still justifiable, it's for tomorrow. So we have Jadis being the one that's interrogating your boy Silas, asking him how he got here. And he's like, oh yeah. It's like, oh, she's like, oh, how you like the place you were at before? He's like, oh, it's good. I mean, it's like living in a junkyard. She's like, what's wrong with that? I'm like, they wrote that line specifically for that purpose. It's like, I mean, to be fair, it's not like Silas, just a turn of phrase, but it's because it is kind of like a junkyard. But she's like, oh, what's wrong with that? Coming from the lady who formed a whole group inside the junkyard, and that was her home for a while. But Silas is just trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm lost and stuff like that. Luckily, Dennis steps by, which obviously because she's connected to Huck, of course, Dennis would be aware of who she is too. So it's like, but she's like, oh, this kid, he could be a good soldier. Do you think he could be? And Dennis is like, yes. And she's like, I was thinking so too. But if you let disappoint me again, you'll regret it. And you'll regret it. Kind of talking to both Dennis and Silas. And he's like, okay. But Dennis automatically is like, yeah, I knew what you were doing. I covered for you because I knew that you were looking for your friends. Because regardless of everything, once again, what Hope was saying, there are good people amongst all this. Because there are a lot of people who don't know the ins and outs. Despite what she's done, the manipulation, she tried to kill Percy. She killed his uncle. And she lied and manipulated everyone. Sure, but it's not worse than anything. It's the CR as a whole, in particular the CRM, because it turns out the military knows what they're doing. This regular CR government has no idea what the military. That's so interesting, knowing that it's like a rogue military operation. All of this, the CRM is the one doing things, not necessarily the CR. Not unless there's someone in the CR government that's giving them leeway and push to do what they're doing, but it might just be someone who is a fanatic. I mean, there are fanatics at the front of every group. I mean, I guess you can call him a fanatic. I think the governor might be our first fanatic we ever met in The Walking Dead. And I guess coming back to it full circle a little bit. I mean, Pope was kind of that too, a fanatic in his own right. People who believe in what they believe in so much that they're willing to think, and everything's for the sake of the future. But it's like, who deemed you the one that gets to decide that by any means necessary? It's like people are just trying to find a way to survive, but you're like, there's Thanos thinking in this of I will take it upon myself to save the universe. No one asked you to do it, but it's because you believe you have the insight, the vision. You're able to see the bigger picture like no one else is able to. So you're willing to make those sacrifices because in the end, it will be worth it. And the history books will thank me rather than looking back on me like a genocidal maniac. Because, I mean, I think the argument could be, historically speaking, there are people who believe that they were doing better for the world, and those were genocidal megalomaniacs. So don't want to be in that same company. So I think that conversation could kind of potentially be applied with the CRM, in particular General Bill, because it turns out this is actually his plan. Because we find out that him and Elizabeth, Jennifer's mom, they came up with this plan 8 years ago, which would put that pretty damn soon. I mean, I guess it's like 2 years because like the fall happened 10 years ago in this at this point in the continuity. So that means they came up like. That means they came up with this like 2 years into it. They must have still like once again. It's like who made you the arbiters to like decide like to do all this? Regardless, on those veins, it's just fascinating to kind of get that perspective on everything and just realize like how messed up and kind of evil the CRM is. It makes you wonder what role Rick does play in all of this. Once again, like, because we got some insight with Michonne's last episode of, what was it, episode 13 of season 10. So we got some insight to where Rick might be, but that's about it. Like, the general, like, oh, he was here. But once again, we won't know his full story until we get to the movies, which I still haven't looked into. I know there's still been like, oh, they're coming, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if those are those getting like theatrical releases or are those going to get like AMC Plus releases. I'd assume like it might be like an AMC Plus initially and then like eventually trickle down. I don't know if they do like a week apart thing or would they. I'm just curious how they would do that. I haven't looked into it. I guess I always just assumed it'd be like an AMC movie, but they might be theatrical movies. Tangents and all that. Like I said, do correct me in the comments down below. I just haven't like kept up enough with the Walking Dead movie stuff. I haven't looked into it at all. Like, I just get random, like, tidbits here and there about some updates about it, but that's about it. I've not gotten any, like, major updates, or read any major updates about it, but it all ties in, so it's all relative to the conversation we're having since we're focusing on the CR and the CRM and stuff like that. But, the thing is that, once again, Dennis stepped, I went on a huge tangent, but, Dennis stepped in when it came to Silas because for him it's like, hey, like, I didn't know what was going to happen to you. Because it ties into my point that, right, not everyone in the CRM is bad. Not everyone in the CR is bad. But it's like, yeah, Dennis is a good guy. And he's just like, yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen to you. He's like, he knew the CRM might try and punish him. But it's like, I know you're a good kid. You're just looking for your lost friends. It's just like, do you, like, want this? And he was like, Silas was kind of about to let it drop. He was like, maybe the CRM isn't what you think. He's like, why would you say it? He's like, I don't know why I said that. Never mind. But you're a good soldier. You're a good guy. So because I think for the first time, like, outside of Felix, Iris, Elton, and them, like, he found someone outside of them that actually was nice to him, because he had this complicated situation with his family because of his mom and his dad and everything, right? So this puts things, I think it's for the first time, like, he's had a older male figure in his life that could, like, makes him go, like, oh, you're actually, a good male figure in his life, because the last one before all this was his dad, but his dad was an abusive piece of shit, so I think that probably, like, correlates in some of what, like, might not be a father figure, but maybe, like, a big brother, in a sense, might be how Silas kind of looks at Dennis, but other than that, we had Lila getting brought in for questioning, and she immediately goes to talk to Leo. Because they ended, like, Leo, Hope, and Iris, like, he ended up discovering what they're using is chlorine. Obviously, like, basically, and explaining how it could work in graphic detail of how it killed everyone in Omaha. That basically everyone you drown from the inside out. But it should be colorless and odorless, yet this has a color to it, so they've added something to it. That element, the chlorine is to it kills someone. A lot of people, like, kill is what it's meant to do, but the added component, whatever it is, it's meant to make it so that they can't come back. Like, it's to affect the reanimation period until you get to the point you completely wipe it out. The potentiality of reanimation. So tangents and all that aside, when it comes to that, Lila got questioned, and she immediately came to Leo. She's like, I know you stole the vial. He's like, I have no idea. Give me the vial back. They're going to come here questioning you because apparently the reason why they know a vial is missing because they're I mean, to be fair, of course, Huck wouldn't know this. Like, the only people who would know about, like, a lot of the way things work in that lab would be her, because it's her lab. But they didn't know, like, the moment they took a vial, like, there are sensors associated at, so the moment one went missing, they immediately knew. So, it's like, once again, no one could have seen that coming, because Huck doesn't know the security protocol. She's kept out of the dark. She's kept in the dark about how a lot of this works. So, they're bringing Leo in, and they're bringing Felix in because he doesn't want Leo to go anywhere, and so without him. And so Percy goes to track down Huck. It's like, yeah, he wants to kill her, but this is too important right now. So Iris goes to track down Hope. But Lila's offering them, like, you give me the vial, I can save you and your dad, and I'm gonna let you know everything. So, turns out, gives them perspective on things of like, right, these are my subjects. I basically study like people after they die, but also it also involves studying people when they're dying. It's like, wait, you take living subjects in? No, these are people that were already found in the wild. They were brought in, and then we kill them. Like, their death would have gone to waste. We could use their death for some purpose. But even Iris latched onto the word. Most of the people we use as test subjects are found like that. That means there are just some people. Well, we find out one of them at least is someone that was kind of turned was Dr. Abbott. He was killed and now he's a walker. So I guess he became a test subject as well. So there are people like that, and probably just people that that ties in with like the CRM not. Anyone that's an issue that needs to be disposed of, you don't have to just be killed. You can be used as a future test subject to test things out. So there's that element to it. But I think there's probably other people that fit that criteria, that the non-most, who are just like, oh, I just got bitten out in there and I kind of got brought in. It's like, no. Like, they have to just like randomly kill people to take advantage of it. Because there's no way you're going to be lucky enough to find all of these subjects in time to just be people that like got bitten or whatever. So there's got to be some people that weren't bitten who were just straight up murdered for that sake. But once again, Lila's justifying it. It's like, yes, she didn't agree with what happened in Omaha, but she didn't have any say in it. Like, that was above her. It's like, but for Iris, it's like, oh, you're just insuring, protecting yourself. It's like, yeah. Like, if I died, me dying ain't going to stop what was going to happen. What I could do is I can live and I can take that tragedy and I can do something good with it. And, it's like, right, this isn't about a cure. This is about data, because the data, once again, it's not like, because they don't believe they'll find like some magical cure. They believe they will lay the foundation that someone someday will find that cure. So it's not about our tomorrow. It's someone else's tomorrow. It's building this data up so someone else can use it in the future. So that's quite a damn gamble. Like, I mean, because there's no guarantee there's ever going to be a perfect solution, but it's like, once again, we're planning this out for the next couple centuries. Like, the next 100 years, we got it planned out that this is how this is going to work. We're going to, we're not going to like just be like, oh, we're giving it 10 years. It's like, no, we're giving it 100 years. Like, we're going to keep going and going next 100 years or whatever we need to make this work, to fight back and take the world back from the living. Because obviously from the dead, this is about life in general. That's the main crux of all this. So Hope, not trusting her, still believes like, right, she does care about Dad. It's like, if I didn't care about your dad, I wouldn't have come to warn him. I am putting his life before mine because I do care about him. And even Hope believes that, because it's like, probably this is the first person she's ever genuinely cared about since her husband and daughter died. It gave her something and someone else to fight for. But Iris is still like not believe, because it's like, right, you're making this unilateral decision to trust her. It's like, really? That's interesting coming from you, considering you wrote that letter to burn this place down. Once again, not knowing like Indira, one of the people that you're indebted to for also helping reunite you all, also like needs the medicine. Also, you don't know this, but her son Dev is dead outside. Will is on the run, so everything is going wrong. Silas got captured, but luckily he got released, so there's no issue on that front. But they'll be definitely keeping an eye on him. But Leo's getting interrogated, and it's not just Jadis. It's also Huck being brought in for the interrogation as well. And so they're probing him and prodding him about information. And obviously Huck she's only trying to play the role of a good interrogator. So she's pushing certain buttons. It's like, right, like, have you been with anyone since your wife died 10 years ago? And he was like, no. And she's like, well, what do you like about Lila? It's like, she was the first person that makes me laugh, or she'd laugh at what I've said. She's the first person like I could open her up to her about everything, life, my daughters, and she latched on to every detail. That kind of connection with someone. He's like, that's why. It's like, oh, that's why you loved her. He's like, yeah, I used to be. It's like, oh, used to be. He's like, you're twisting my words. It's like, no, it sounds like the only person twisting your words. So now it's like, oh, so you don't love her anymore. What changed? And so Huck playing the role, being like, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, something's up here. Like, they both gave the same story, so it could be they're covering for each other, because it's like, oh, the justification could be that Lila believes Leo took it, and she's trying to cover both of their bases. So there's that. Luckily, Hope and Iris were able to hide from the guards when they were coming looking for they were looking for Lila. But Lila herself shows up, and I was like, she's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, okay. I was like, are you going to, I thought she was going to be like, I misplaced it. And it's like, nope. She tells everything. Because it's like, right. Because the guy had said, because it's the title of the episode, Blood and Lies. Because he's like, right, if you're building a future off of blood and lies, then that's all it will ever be, you know. But it's like, yes, I think despite the bloods and lies, at the very least, it's still a tomorrow. No matter what it was built off the foundation of, it was still a tomorrow. So the ends justify the means. It's a part of that conversation. But she lets everything spill, and she even lets them in on Operation, what was it, VIDS or whatever. And it's like, right, killing an examination of the reanimation process. So for her, it's like, I'm making good strides. Like, this body down, it's about to break 8 hours. Yeah, but you need me. And with Leo's help, we could it's all about the future. It's all about tomorrow. So I need him in his brain. So the conversation then becomes like, if we use him, and then his daughters, they're a smart pair as well. So like, we use them, like, it's all a means to an end of like pushing this forward. And that's what the CRM wants more so than anything. And so Jadis is like, right, how do I know that you can put all this aside and do it for the greater good? He's like, yes. Because she's like, do you know what this is all about? And he's like, what's left? Whatever it is. And she's like, it's life. Life versus death, Dr. Bennett. That's what this is all about. So that played out the way it did, but turns out Jadis wasn't going to let Lila walk away like that, and ends up sacrificing her. I'm like, no, I'm actually, because you feel bad because we literally got her backstory last episode. That's what made Leo kind of forgive her, but then to find out firsthand what her entire project is, because it's not just a thing of like, cool, you're a part of this. It's like, you're kind of the lead of this whole project. So I mean, at least like from the scientific standpoint. But it's like, yeah, Jadis like tells Huck to like basically let the test subject kill her, and she's like, no, please don't, let me out of here, please. It's like, right, you already set it up so that Bennett will be your replacement. He's smarter than you, plus he has 2 pressure points, Hope and Iris, that we can push on to get him to do whatever we want. Because Lila's in that position where she doesn't have much else that would be a motivation. So it's like, you've already proven that we can't trust you because you're going to lie to us, but you've already set up your replacement, you know, so we're good. And you feel bad for her, and like, Huck can't do anything for her. But it turns out from the very beginning, Jadis is good at what she does. She knew from the beginning Lila was like covering for them and was lying. She just needed, you know, once again, this wasn't just a test for the Bennetts. This was also a test for Huck to show her loyalty. It's like, oh, now if your mom asks, I have to, like, I tell her, like, you're down for the cause. And it's like Huck doesn't like being tested. It's like, what did Jadis say last episode? She literally said there will always be more questions, and now it's like, yeah, here we are. Like, you've proven yourself yet again, and it's like Huck is not happy about it because it's a reminder of because she's not too happy about this whole thing. Like, once again, other than her attempt to murder of Percy as well as his uncle, she's never really killed any innocent people outside of that. You know, because like Felix and the others survived because like obviously they were her friends, so she does still care about them. And like she didn't want to, like, right, it sucks because Lila, it's like, right, we're killing someone that's trying to, like, we're supposed to be helping the future, right? Why do we kill someone that could potentially be a role in that, who, you know, who did tell us the truth, but it's like, yeah, but she lied to us beforehand, so, and she covered, so, you know, we can't trust her. And she's already like, right, the Bennetts are more beneficial to us in the long run than her, so it sucks that it came down to that. I don't know if Leo and them know that she's gone, because she was trying to ensure not only her life, but theirs as well. But more, you know, that the selfishness could be like, oh, you're definitely ensuring your life, that, oh, we're working together. She made it clear that to Iris, that's what she was planning on doing. But once again, it's depressing to know that it came down to that. But then there's still more to it that Huck's being let in on, because it's like, right, your mom should know. So I'm gonna fill you in on everything now that, like, Lila spilled the beans on it. So Percy was waiting in her room, and it's like, cool, you want to go ahead and kill me? He's like, right, that's the gun I shot you with, and the gun I killed your uncle with before I bashed his head in with Silas's wrench. It's like, so honestly, if you killed me, you'd be doing me a favor, but also at the same time, it's like, right, like, do I deserve to get off that easy? So it's like, all right, before you make any decision, kid, I gotta let you know about what's what. Percy goes off and tells Felix, Leo, Hope, as well as Iris the truth about what's happening. They plan on killing Portland next. It's like, Jesus, you genocidal motherfuckers. What the So the plan is to make it so that the CR is the only one. You're like, Jesus. I mean, what about all these other small communities? Do you plan on, like, going out and wiping them out, too? I mean, what about the freaking, what's their faces? The Commonwealth. Are they big enough to gain your attention or not? Because apparently, like, Alexandria wasn't necessarily, because they never did anything to Alexandria, Hilltop, or the Kingdom or anything like that necessarily. So, I mean, to be fair, they've whittled down to nothing, so they wouldn't be, even if they weren't on a radar before, and if they were, they're definitely not on a radar now. But I guess it's like what they, like, something amassing together, because like Omaha was like 100,000 people, Portland's like 87,000, so big numbers like that in the thousands, like, that's a drain on the general resources in the world and all that, and the very important people as well as the resources could go towards preserve. Like, once again, the CR is supposed to be the lifeboat. Let's put all our eggs in this one basket, which is the big no-no in the general scale of, in the general run of things. You're not supposed to do that, but when it comes to the survival of the world, I guess it's like, no, you got to put all your eggs in one basket. So once again, it's not like the CR is doing this, the CRM is doing that. So that's interesting, especially because we found out Mason, his dad is General Bill. So it's like, cool, do you know what your dad's up to? Especially because, like, doesn't he, because he's from Portland, so he has family in Portland. So it's like, what, your mom's going to get taken out, and potentially any siblings you have will be saved, but everyone else, they'll get it. So it's like, the fact is, it's like, why are they doing that? It's like, the current answer is there is no reason, like, it's not a known reason why. But I figured it had to be the same thing as Omaha. You're testing that out. Plus, it is a conversation of, it's a drain on resources. The only people that get weapons into the CR are people they, like, deem worthy, in particular the CRM. So it's like, it's getting rid of, well, as they said, it's like, right, there was, as Percy put it, which I guess is how Huck put it, there was never any means of, like, this whole alliance, Omaha, like the campus colony, and like Portland. It's like, no, it was just them finding competition. It's like, cool, these are our competitors, take what we need from them and then wipe them out, find out, get the resources and people we need from each respective area. Cool, we got what we need, the people that'll help us build the future. We'll make sure that the CR is the only thing. Like, this is going to be the arc that we continuously build on, generation after generation after generation after generation, until it's all resolved. But until then, we're going to burn everything and everyone else to the ground. So now the plan is like, oh, now we have to double down on, we have to stop this CRM. We have to destroy this facility, but we also have to make sure we get the scientists and the research out, because what they are doing here can matter. It could be the thing that saves the world, but also, like, who are we to say any scientists don't agree with all of this and won't, like, rat them out the moment they get a chance? So you have that. Percy was going to kill Huck, but decided not to, because Huck, for him, it's like, pulling that trigger would mean, as even Huck said, is like, right, you kill me, you're not most likely going to get away with this. And so for him, it's like, it would mean not getting back to Iris. And so wanting to get back to her, wanting to see her, is why he didn't pull the trigger. So there's that. We have Huck explaining all of this to Dennis. We cut back and forth between the two. And then we have Silas at the end seeing them kissing. It's like, oh, cool, this is the wife he mentioned. He doesn't realize that the Huck I was referencing is her. And then as she's walking away, she's like, so you and me got a lot to talk about, don't we, kid? And he's like, he's squeezing his wrench. So got to fill him in on everything that he just learned. And now, like, what is, because Huck realizes, like, she wants to change things, but she can't do it alone. This CRM thing is too much of a beast. It's too much of a monster. Too many high-powered people are involved. This is too much of a well-equipped group. You got Jadis, who's already got her eye on this whole situation. So this hasn't taken her eyes off of Huck. They have, like, she wants to make Huck believe so, but it's like, she can see through a lot. Because, hell, she even threw Lila's words against her. She was like, right, the rat runs out of energy eventually, the dead don't. Perfect words. And it's like, right, she had to have been listening in on that conversation. Luckily, Huck wasn't around them when all this was kind of going down, because like, she had to have, like, Lila's, like, place bugged or something, and Lila never knew. So when she was having those conversations with Hope and Iris, like, they were being recorded. So that's, like, once again, so it's like, you gotta be careful. Luckily, it seems like Huck was able to avoid any detection, so like Jade is still probably suspicious of her, but probably letting her like, now let me see like how, I mean, granted, considering who her mom is and her position and everything, it's like whether Huck will make it out of this, I don't know. I don't know if like, it don't seem like Percy might kill her after all. I don't think Silas will the moment she breaks it down, especially knowing like, right, Huck is dead. Like he cares, like it's like he likes Dennis, and it's like, right, he liked Huck before she betrayed him and set him up to take the fall. And dude, this is complicated, dude. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see where the next episode takes us going forward with this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.